And okay, you guys were talking, oh yeah, they got us seduced into getting bigger and bigger things. Like you mentioned handbags, and I said houses. You notice over the last few decades, everything's bigger, so it requires more stuff to fill it up. So it's all part of the coalition. I was just thinking, I've put a new word into the vernacular of Skyway. Coalition of four. Everybody's going to, the coalition made me do that. Yeah. Okay. There are 3 stages to transforming your debt into wealth, which will allow you to transform that wealth into blessing. Stage 1, operate 100% on cash. Yes, I heard that. Operate 100% on cash. I used to tell people, cut up all your credit cards. And I had one lady in the back. I was teaching at a church in Chicago. And I said, can you do that? And everybody's going like this. And I see this lady in the back going. So I went back there and we had this little, I said, you know, all the bad stuff I just told you about there, did you get it? Did you see how bad it is? Yeah. And do you want them to keep doing that to you? No. Okay, can you cut up your credit cards? No. And what it turned out, and I remember when we started doing it, remember the Marshall Field card? Marshall Field, which got bought out by Macy's, which was really an emotional travesty for anybody that comes from Chicago. They had a card, and Marshall Field was pretty upscale store. It would be equivalent to what, a Nordstrom's or something now? I don't know, something like that. But I mean, Lois would go there once in a while because everything was decorated beautifully, and all the store was gorgeous at Christmas time. It was like Wonderland, and they gave her a card because they wanted to make a debt slave out of her, like everybody else that came into the store. So when I got it, when I realized what was being done to me, I said, we're cutting up these cards, we're cutting them up, we're going to pay them off, we're done with this. And I said, where's the Marshall Fields card? And it turned out, and it wasn't about the ability to buy stuff, it was about identity. That's what it was. She saw herself as sort of successful or upscale, or we were doing okay because we had a Marshall Field card. Okay? So it was part of her identity, and it was just knowing she could go into Marshall Field and get whatever perks cardholders get. So it was identity. Well, we all know about identity here at Skyway. We know where our identity is supposed to come from, and so does Lois. But I mean, that's how much of an emotional grip this can get on you. So when I say cut up your cards, nowadays I moderate that a little bit, and I say keep the best 3. Okay? But don't add to the balance on those. And ideally, you want to pay them all off so that you don't have these. It's about cash flow. And that's really why you all want to get out of debt, is because it's monthly to you, because that's where we live. We live month to month to month, and you're thinking, boy, if I didn't have to pay the car payment and these credit card payments or whatever, we'd have some money each month. We would be able to do more, tithe more, give more offerings, be more helpful to people. So that's what we're going to do. But unfortunately, since the time that this happened to us in the late 80s and into the 90s, it used to be that I would tell people, look, the only thing credit cards will do for you is help you get a good credit rating. And who cares? Because I'm teaching you not to use debt anymore, so if you're not going to use any more debt, you don't care what your credit rating is. Well, that's not true anymore. Everything is tied to credit score now. I mean, if you try to rent an apartment, they check your credit score. If you try to buy a car, the interest rate you get on that car is based on your credit rating. If you try to get insurance, your premium is based on your credit score. If you try to get a job, they will check your credit score. So security clearance, anything. So now I say keep 3 and the best 3. And if you get points and stuff, and you can use them for expenses, like go to the store, but just buy the groceries you were going to buy anyway. Use the card, pay it that month, just like you had used cash that month, and that keeps action on the cards. But you're not carrying a big balance. And here's the biggest, 2 biggest things that determine your credit score. Paying on time. Paying on time, paying on time. That's the big one. Don't be late. Number 2, available credit compared to credit used. Okay? So if you've got $10,000 available to you on 3 credit cards, and you only got a balance at any given time in any one month of maybe $1,000, that looks really great to the FICO people. A lot of credit available, but you're not using a lot of it. So you're very responsible, okay? So you get a good credit score. So those are just some tips. All right, so 3 stages. Stage 1, operate 100% on cash. This is where you face the lie head on. Because if you can't pay for everything, what makes you think you're ever going to get anywhere if you can't pay for right now? So you have to solve that problem. Now that could be downsizing, selling a vehicle. I mean, sometimes the solutions are radical. I remember a gentleman who sold his favorite pickup truck. He had actually just bought it less than a year earlier. And at first, he thought he was going to be really sad. And he was ecstatic like the next day because he realized, God, I don't have that payment anymore. So, and he had another vehicle. It wasn't like that was the only way he could get to work. So think creatively, but as quickly as you can, you want to get to operating on cash. Stage 2, begin building wealth by paying off all your debts. And we're going to go through that. And people don't think about paying off debts as building wealth, but it is. It is. Because wealth can be described as owning valuable assets. Does that make sense? All right. Right now, the bank owns most of the valuable assets. You're a partial owner. You're a minority owner. As you pay things off, you become the majority owner and eventually the sole owner of those assets. So you're building your net worth as you pay off debts. You really are. Stage 3, when you're debt-free, focus all available cash on long-term wealth building. It's not complicated. So first, stop the bleeding. This is like you came upon an accident on the side of the road. Stop the bleeding. Stage 2, start to reduce or let the wound start to heal. And then stage 3, once you're healthy again, we're going to build long-term wealth with that money. So let's examine these stages one at a time. Stage 1, operate 100% on cash. Using credit actually lowers your standard of living in the long run. It's part of the lie, it's part of the coalition trap that they give us the impression that using credit allows us to have more. It actually allows us to have less. I remember when I was teaching this class at a community college back in Illinois, and so I heard at the break, I heard this young lady talking to some other students, and she was talking about this car she just bought. And I said, how much was it? And she said it was $25,000. And I said, well, if the salesperson had come up to you and said, will you spend $28,000 for this car? She would have said, what are you, crazy? It was right on the sticker. It was right on the window, $25,000. Why would I pay more than that? And I said, what's your payment? I wrote it on it was a chalkboard. That tells you how far long ago that was. I said, okay, and how many months? Put that on there, did the multiplication. She was paying $28,000 and some few $100s for that car over the course of 60 months. She got so mad that I'm like backing up because I'm thinking, whoa, I'm in mortal danger. But she was paying $28,000 for a $25,000 car. Okay, so let's say that you and I make the exact same income. I save up, I buy a TV at Best Buy cash. You get it 6 months ago with a credit card. I pay $300 for the TV. You end up paying $380. We can take this to any number of things that people buy, including a car. I pay $25,000, you pay $28,000. Over the course of our life, if we make the same exact income, who gets to buy more stuff? I do. So credit cannot give you more, it can only steal. It's basic math. If you pay less for everything, you only pay the price, you get to buy more stuff. The idea that using credit can enhance your life is a lie. It's making everything cost more. Oh, I kind of went through this. I should have been clicking. Okay. Using cash is the kingdom way, by the way. It's the kingdom way to do it because you're not living in a lie. You're living in truth. Okay, operating on cash, 100% on cash means get rid of the plastic. We kind of talked about this. Cut up the little debt makers you carry around. If you have memorized the number, just because you cut up the card, actually, all but the 3, if you got more, and don't lie to me, you got more than 3. When you pay them off, cut them up, and then pay them off, and then close the account, and just keep 3 accounts open, okay? Because if you have a lot of accounts, that starts to pull your score down again. So 3 is the optimal number, 3 credit cards. The 0% interest myth. We talked about that a little bit, about rolling balances over. Let's talk about cars. This is the credit card place, so we'll stay with the 0% credit card. Credit card reward programs just make you spend more. We were talking about that over there at the table, about how the supermarkets do that now with their manipulations of coupons and stuff like that, and how they get you to spend more. So if you spend $100, so what do? You stuff your bag with stuff you don't need so you can save $2 over there at the gas station outside the Safeway. You can save 2 cents a gallon. You know, so they know it's all part of the manipulation. It's not that it's bad. If you're going to buy $100 worth of groceries, you might as well get 2 cents off. But you've got to understand, wait a minute, who's in charge of this game? You know, am I the referee or am I just somebody in the stands watching it all happen? So they're all designed to get you to spend more. Like if you go into a store to buy something, any of the department stores, Macy's, I don't want to pick on Macy's, but anybody. And what do they ask you? The first thing they ask you when you come to the counter, do you have a Macy's card? Right? And if you don't have one, what's the next thing they say? And if you take one, you'll get 10% or whatever off your purchases that you make today. That's like bribery. That's blatant bribery. Why? Because they're willing. I mean, let's say you got $1,000 worth of stuff. They're going to give you $100 off. Why? Because they know they're going to get way more than $100 out of you with that card. So if that's happening, then the definition of insanity is knowing that and continuing to do it anyway, okay? So remember with credit cards, by the way, if you make any late payments, they're going to kill you. Okay. Do not carry a balance. Pay the balance in full every month. That's where you want to get. You want to get to where you're using cash, even if you use the credit card to make the payment. And in many cases, it's a good idea because there are protections built into that. Like if you order online with a credit card and it doesn't show up or it turns out to not be what you thought it was, you've got steps you can take through the credit card to recover your money and stuff. If it was cash, you know, then you're having a lot harder deal. But pay that monthly so that it's just as if you used cash. Actually, credit cards are better than debit cards these days. Debit cards are actually a little less secure than credit cards. It used to not be that way, but you're actually giving people access to your bank account. So if that gets swiped, if your credit card gets stolen and you report it within, I think it's 3 days, you're not liable for anything. If your debit card is stolen, if you report it immediately, you're still liable for $500. And so they're just not as secure. And really, they get access to your bank account and they can drain it. Okay, managing your spending is key. Impulse or frivolous spending is the great wealth destroyer. And as I said before, or I don't know if I think I said it yesterday, actually. I don't know, it all kind of blends together. Watch out for the CIA. I'm not talking about the people that Tom works with. I'm talking about convenience, indulgence, and appearance. These are the things that cause us to waste money. We will spend a lot of money on convenience. You know, like we had a friend who her favorite line was, "My favorite thing to make for dinner is reservations." And what was she saying? Well, I'd rather go pay $100 for dinner than to make it at home. Convenience. Going to the car wash. Car washes are pretty cheap. They're not too bad. But I mean, you see what I'm talking about. I used to change my own oil. I used to change my own spark plugs. A lot of that stuff we don't do anymore, but just watch out for convenience, getting stuff partially done or paying somebody else to do something you could do. Indulgence. That's where, I had a bad week and I'm going to give myself a little something. So we indulge ourselves. If we think we've suffered it all, we're such babies that we think that, I can get myself, I can indulge myself. So just, kind of watch out for that. Just be aware that, wow, if I hear that coming up, how much is that going to cost me long term? And that's the hardest thing to do. It's going to be the hardest thing to force yourself to do is think long term. Most people, long term thinking is, what are we doing this weekend? You've got to think out there. Here's an exercise we do with our online course. My son-in-law and I are in business together. We have a company called Smartest Wealth Systems. And in the online course, we give them the names of some apps, and you can find these. You can find these on your phone. They're apps where you can take a picture and age it. Okay? Like I think ageme.com, and there's several of them. But you can take a photograph, take somebody's picture, I take Walter's picture, and then I can say 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and I can age it, and it will approximate what he would look like 20 years from now. So we tell them, go do that, and then take the picture of the older you, print it out, and stick it up on your mirror, stick it up by your desk, stick it up wherever you spend money. And every time you get ready to go ahead and indulge yourself, look over and say, do you mind if I steal this money from you? Do you mind if I indulge myself with this $100, which could be $300 for you or $500 for you with interest? Is it okay if I do that? You know what the older you will say? That would be a no. Okay, stage 2. Build wealth by paying off all your debts. We're getting into the funner stuff now. Debt elimination is wealth building. Every dollar you pay against what you owe, it means you own one more dollar of your possessions. Your net worth, the net worth number, which is on your personal balance sheet, is basically your assets minus your liabilities. The value of everything you own minus what you owe, all your debts. So if you totaled up the value of everything you own and totaled up your debts, subtract the debts from the value of the assets, that number would be your net worth. And that number should be going up every month, every year in your life. Okay, so as you pay down debts, you are reducing the liability. So it's a smaller number you're subtracting. So your net worth is getting bigger. So we think we grow our wealth by investing and adding assets. No, we can lower liabilities, builds our net worth. So that's what we're focusing on right now. That builds your net worth by $1. Debt elimination is always your first best investment. Always. Always. Prepaying any debt gives you an effective after-tax return equal to the debt's interest rate. So, right now, fact, there's a company called Dalbar Inc., and all they do is they watch the investment returns of the average American stock market mutual fund investor. They measure some other things, but this is what they're best known for. So they monitor that, what the average mutual fund stock market investor earns. And they look at it over a rolling 20-year window. So they're always looking back 20 years. So right now, the average stock market investor over the past 20 years has averaged a return of 5.19%. And most people will go, oh, that's crazy. I mean, my 401k right now, it's up 10% this year, or it's up whatever. That's because your brain is really bad at remembering bad things. And it's just merciful that way. But it remembers the good things and exaggerates them. Okay? Yeah, but I remember in Little League I hit 300. Yep, I hit 350 and I had 75 home runs. in that one game. You know, I mean, we exaggerate the good things, but we forget 2000, 2008, and all the little drops along the way. And so we're going 5.19%, but this is just fact. It's a measurement. And so that's before taxes, which means the actual after-tax return is less than 5%. So debt elimination. Now let's say you got a credit card that's 12% interest. You think, well, that's pretty low. If you prepay balance, and what I mean by that is your payment's $50 a month, and you pay $100 on that payment. You're paying $50. That extra $50 goes only against principal. It eliminates principal that interest will not be calculated on in future months. You've taken it off the table. You just made 12% return on that $50. So, would you rather get 4.8 after taxes from the stock market, or 12, or 18, or 20% guaranteed? And it's after tax. So prepaying debt is always your best first investment. It gives you a guaranteed, there's two ways of looking at it, a guaranteed direct return equal to the interest rate, but there's also an effective rate of return which is much higher than that. Applying $50 to the debt I was talking about before pays it off. Okay, example, $2,000 credit card balance, $50 minimum payment, 18% interest. Applying $50 extra to this payment pays it off in 24 months. You would save $1,985. How much was the original debt? $2,000. You're going to save just $15 less than that in interest alone by adding the $50. So if you look at, you're getting a gain essentially of that $1,985 that you won't have to pay. So that's your gain for the extra $50 a month. So if we put $50 a month for 24 months into a calculator and say our gain was $1,985, the effective rate of return on that money was 49.5%. You would have to find an investment that paid 49.5% to put $50 a month in for 24 months and get $1,985 gain. So paying off debt is always your first best investment. Let's use a mortgage quickly as an example. Let's say you have a $1,000 mortgage payment and you pay an extra $500. Okay, let's just say the mortgage payment is $900, like we were talking before, $900 principal and only $900 of interest and $100 of principal. Got it? Okay, if I add $500 to that payment, I have prepaid the next 5 $100 principal payments. So I will not be charged in the future the 5 $900 interest charges on those payments. So for $500 in, I eliminate $4,500 of interest charges. So I'm getting a 900% return on investment. Does that sound good? Sounds fabulous to me. 900% return. Okay, debt elimination is wealth building. This is a little hard to see because I transferred this from a white background slide to this dark blue. But basically what we're talking about here is the green line is you're getting out of debt. Okay, the bottom line is debt. I'm going to have to look at this thing. Okay, time and your wealth is the vertical line. And so you're growing your wealth by eliminating debts, you're growing your net worth, and you simply pass this dotted line, you pass this point, wherever it is out there, where you're debt-free, and you just keep building wealth. So it's a continuum. A lot of people think I have to get out of debt, and paying off debt, I'm somewhere underground right now. I'm below zero, and I got to pay debt and to get myself to zero. Then I can start building wealth. No, paying off debt, you are already building wealth, and then when you pass that line, you just build more wealth. Okay, stage 3, focus all available cash on continued wealth building. The first step is to create an emergency savings fund to fall back for those situations. The refrigerator broke, the compressor went out on the air conditioning, whatever, those kinds of things, emergency funds. A good one that I and Fred Payne is another person in the congregation who offers these. It's called a private family bank. It's actually the best way to save, and it has a great return and everything. But you can use a money market or a CD, something where you know the amount is not at risk. It's not going down. It's growing at whatever rate. Private family bank grows way better than a CD or a money market. Second, concentrate on building long-term wealth. So first, the emergency fund, and then long-term wealth. And another advantage of the private family bank is that it's both at the same time. But things for long-term would be like real estate and other real assets. Assets that are physical or real, not paper assets like statements from a brokerage account. Yeah, do we have where's the microphone these days? So back there, the lady in the red stripe thingy, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm a guy, what do I know? I can identify red. Yeah, got that going for me. Okay. Okay, let's give him one shot at getting it going. There we go. I think we're good now. Because we want to get it on the tape, because on the video, because a lot of people are going to be watching this and learning via the internet and stuff.
Well, I was just curious about what the private family bank is.
Oh, you know what? I'd be happy to talk with you offline.
Is it an actual bank, or it's
It is actually kind of a bank. It's built on an insurance platform, but it becomes your individualized personal bank where you can save money and grow it and deploy it and stuff. But I don't want to do a commercial on that right now. But yeah, it's pretty unique. Most people have never heard of it, and I'd be happy to talk to you about it. And if you know Fred Payne in the congregation, he also can help you with that. But you're looking for real assets. You're looking for something where the value doesn't go down. We're trying to get off the Wall Street bank casino table. It's the banks, the banks, the banks. On one hand, the banks are trapping you in the interest cycle, and then they make you think, if I just made a little more on my investments. Okay, duh. I just showed you how you could make anything from an 18% to a 900% return on your money by using it to prepay debt balances. And they're trying to convince you that the solution is to get 1% more gain out of your portfolio. Why? They want you risking money in the market because they control it. Wall Street banks. The investment banks, they bring those things to market, and they have the fastest trading pipelines. Their computers can make a trade way faster than your computer can make a trade. And whenever they want to, they can sweep money off the table. The prices fall. They've got their profits. Who holds the bag? We do. I don't play that game anymore. I don't like that game. I don't. No, seriously, I don't. Risk is a 4-letter word. So, okay, so. You want to first secure your today, and that's kind of an emergency fund scenario, and then you want to start setting aside money for tomorrow. Essentially, you want to use at least a portion of your current income to replace your future income. And by that I mean you want to build up assets that will generate an income at some point in your life to replace the income you have to work to earn. And the way I like to look at it is, the word retirement, I don't know that it has such a meaning as it used to have. I mean, we think of retirement as I stop, I quit, I sit out by my pool, or I golf all the time, or I fish all the time, or whatever. And, that we're healthier now, we live longer now. It's just that's not the scene anymore. When they first created the 65-year-old retirement for Social Security, people died at 67. I mean, the average life was only a couple more years. Now, we're living too long. That's the solution. We need to die earlier. The government would be in much better shape. Daniel? Yeah, we got That's our duty. Charge up all your cards so we can boost the economy and then die as quickly as possible so they don't have to pay you Social Security. That's how we fix it.
So you mentioned that as far as stock market and paper assets, So you don't advocate investing in that realm?
One exception, Daniel.
Okay.
If you really have your hands on it, here's the problem with most people who invest in the stock market, invest through a qualified plan of some kind. And it's a series of numbers and letters. You know, it's 457, 401k, 529, I mean, whatever it is. Those are just chapters in the IRS code. Okay, how do you do that? You go to the HR department, you say, I want to put $500 a month into this thing. They go to the plan manager and say, $500 a month for Daniel. The plan manager goes to a brokerage firm like Fidelity or Schwab or somebody and goes, $500 for this guy, Daniel. The brokerage company goes and buys mutual funds, which you said, I want the conservative plan, I want the aggressive plan, I want whatever. So they go buy mutual funds. Finally, the managers of those mutual funds actually go buy stocks. You are 5 levels away from your investment. You have no control. They do not know you, they don't care about you, and they make money either way, okay? I don't like that. I don't like that. And so if the one exception is if you want to learn options trading, then I would say, because your hands are on the controls, you are making the choices and decisions, and you've got the 3 monitors, and you're watching all the stuff, and you say, I know why I'm doing this, okay? And you also can pull the trigger to get the heck out of there. That, I would say, if you learn that and you feel comfortable doing that, I wouldn't risk more than 10% of your portfolio at that, but yeah, that would be the only exception for me.
Okay. Yeah, and so as far as, so you prefer investing in businesses directly, being able to look at.
The best investment is actually to start a business of your own.
Okay.
More wealth is created by building your own business than by all other means combined, including investing in the stock market. More millionaires come from building your own business. So that'd be my first choice. Secondly, I mean, investing in real estate funds. Go to like Patch of Land, GoFundMe. There are places where you can invest through one of these online, what do they call them? Crowdsourcing, yeah, crowdfunding. Places that invest in real estate. So you're basically saying, I'm going to give you some of my money, and you vet the borrowers and place the money with them, and then they pay back, and they usually pay back a high interest because it's short-term loans that they're using for flipping and stuff, and then they pay you interest. So you've got no headaches, no broken toilets in the middle of the night, none of that stuff, and you get a nice return, and in many cases you get the equity advantages of depreciation and stuff. So there are some ways to do into real assets as opposed to paper assets. If everything goes to heck in a handbasket, all you got from a brokerage firm is a piece of paper. That's all you own.
So, and I had just one question about real estate.
Sure.
So is real estate, I just read the other day that real estate actually means like royal estate, where it's not actually, it's not actually referring to the tangibility of it, but it's actually, like if you own a house, really you control the property, you control the house, but the government actually really owns it. Is that true?
If they've pulled that one over my eyes, then they succeeded. I'm not aware of that actual. I do know this: if you stop paying taxes, they can take it away from you. Property taxes.
So, yeah.
From that standpoint,
it was in relation to the property tax as well.
Yeah,
so.
right. If you stop paying property taxes, they can take it away from you and sell it. Yeah. Okay. So in that sense, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
I'm mitigating my risks. You can't eliminate them all the way, except by dying. Okay. If you die, God pays the whole bill in full, and you don't have to worry about it.
Fair enough, yeah. Thank you.
But that's a hard way to do it. Yeah, it can get complicated. I'm trying to deal with the big Lego blocks here. But yeah, something real, tangible assets. Yes, ma'am.
Quick question. If you work for an employer who offers a 401k and they offer matching funds, I've heard before, if you contribute at the percentage that they match, you're essentially getting free money. You are,
Rachel. It's not all it's cracked up to be. It's not necessarily a bad idea. What I would do is I'd take the match and take the real conservative option. Because the stock market, I mean, in 2000 and again in 2008, the market took half of the portfolios. So if you had your employer matched 6% of your salary or something, and then it went down 50%, it doesn't matter. The 12%, you're 6 and they're 6, all gone. It's gone. So it depends on then what do you do with it. And after all the costs and everything, I really don't want to go down too much of a rabbit trail, but here's a reality. Brokerage fees and fund management fees, when they take their money, they take it out quarterly. Okay? So they're literally scooping their piece off out of your portfolio, which means it's no longer in there earning anything. The compound, what they call opportunity cost of that, in other words, what that would have grown to if they hadn't taken it out, even though the percentages are like 2%, 1.5%, 2.5% fees, the actual opportunity cost is greater than the total amount you will have contributed into your fund over your entire working life. So the match can't make up for that kind of stuff. So it's not as great. I mean, you know, if it's there, but I can make an argument that, hey, take that same money and put it into something that won't ever go down, that only goes up, and you'll probably end up better off. The tortoise wins the race. When it comes to investing, the tortoise really does win the race. And I've seen a video of a tortoise actually beating a hare in a race. You can find it on YouTube. Tortoise beats hare. And it's true. The hare shoots out, stops about halfway, and the tortoise, and he gets to the finish line, he wins. So it's for real. The tortoise wins the race. All right, we're going to eliminate debts. I'm going to fly here, baby. Okay. So I call this the cascading debt elimination system. And first, we want to just make sure you understand what are debts that can be paid off. These are debts that can be paid off. You can never pay off your electric bill. You can never pay off groceries. So those are not debts. We're not even going to think about those amounts. We're only thinking about things that have a finite balance that can be paid off. And so now we're going to get to that. So here, in your handout should be somewhere this form. And we're looking at the example one that this has the numbers in it already. So we're going to go through it. Okay, so I'm going to pop up sections of it up here. So if we focus on the first 4 columns going across, left to right, and we'll just look at the first couple debts, mortgage and MasterCard. And there's instructions on the top of the form that'll tell you how to do this, but you write the name of each of your debts in the boxes along column 1. In column 2, next to each debt, you fill in the total outstanding balance for that debt, how much you owe on it. In column 3, next to each debt, you fill in its minimum monthly payment amount, minimum monthly payment. If you're in the habit of adding $50 or something, don't do that. Only put the minimum required by the creditor in here. Now divide each of the debts by its total, divide each debt's total monthly balance by its monthly payment. So if you had a $1,000 debt and a $50 payment, the answer would be 20, for example. You divide 1,000 by 50 and you get 20. You're dividing the column 2 amount by the column 3 amount. Put the answer in column 4 for each debt where it says division answer. That's what we're doing. Next, find the lowest division answer and put a number 1 by it in column 5. Now, this is all in the sample, so it's done already. And you're going to do this on the blank one. And that's your first debt you're going to pay off. So now we're prioritizing the debts in the order we're going to attack them. So then find the next lowest division answer. That will be debt number 2, and continue numbering your debts from lowest division answer to highest. This will establish the order you're going to focus on them. Now we'll start the acceleration process. You add your accelerator margin from the box at the top of the calculating your debt payoff form to the regular payment of debt number 1. What is your accelerator margin? Okay, essentially it is all the money you can come up with every month. And we're going to add it to the payment of one debt, the debt you're focusing on. And when we're starting, that's debt number 1. Now, we tell people a good ballparking number is 10% of your income. If you can come up with 10%, and if you think about it, and a lot of financial planners will tell you this, learn to live on 80% of your income, tithe 10, And this is where the other 10 goes. And eventually this will be 10% for wealth building, but right now it's 10% for debt elimination. So in this example family, I think their income is $4,000, so 10% is $400. So but if yours is $280 or $530, whatever it is that you can come up with, in some months you'll go, I can't do it this month. I had to buy, whatever, a gas cap. I don't know. But, you do all that you can every month, because if you think about it, you're getting an 18% to a 900% return on that money. Wouldn't you want to have as much as possible going into that? So that's what your accelerator margin is. That's what accelerates the debt payoff. And so you add it all to the payment of debt number one. So let's say your accelerator margin is $400 and your normal payment is, I forget, where are we with debt number one here? So it must be $491.08. So you're adding $400 to that, you're paying $891.08 and that happens to be a car. That turned out to be debt number one. What happens is, now you divide the total balance of that vehicle by $891.08 and put that division answer in the last column. Okay? So now you're seeing how many months you can pay it off with the accelerated amount. So it was going to take 15 months. Now it's down to 9. So you've paid off that car in 9 months instead of 15. And then you just do that for each debt. And here's what you do now. So now you've paid off that car. Well, that car had a $491 payment. You don't have to make that anymore. So you roll that into your accelerator margin. So now your accelerator margin is $891.08. You take that and roll it onto the payment of debt number two. That's why I call it cascading. It's cascading down through your debts. So now you're adding $891.08 to the $671.90 payment of car number one. So you're paying $1,562.98 a month on that car. That's going to be paid off in 8 months. But now look how big your accelerator margin is. You got $1,562.98 a month accelerator margin. What does that mean? If the refrigerator broke, you could buy one cash. You have now freed up $1,598 a month. But let's say the refrigerator doesn't break. You take that accelerator margin and roll it onto debt number three. The snowball is getting bigger as it's rolling downhill. And so by the time you get up into the big debts, like your mortgage, your accelerator margin, your accelerated payment on your mortgage is $2,794 a month. It's paid off in 36 months. See, most people, if I said, you can pay off your mortgage in 3 years, you crazy? I'd have to win the lottery to do that. No, not really. The banks do not want you to know this. They don't even want you to think about this. They don't want you to have a clue that this is possible. Because what you're doing is you're short-circuiting their ability to charge you interest. When you pay that mortgage off in 36 months, you will save yourself, on average, probably $100,000 in interest in most cases. Yes. And now that $100,000 is going to stay in your life, and you can put that to work to build a future that the older you will be happy with. That one you pinned up on the wall. They'll be happy with that. So then all you got to do is add up those months in that far right column, and you see it's 72 months. Divide by 12, 6 years. This family is debt-free in 6 years. We're looking for the microphone here.
I was sleeping.
You were stunned.
All right, just to be clear, on the months to pay off, just because I don't want to do all the math right now, I figure it's easier to ask. So is this 72 months from, let's say I start this today, is it 72 months from today?
Yes.
So it's 72 months from today, so...
72 months from the time you make the first payment on that
Right.
car, $891.08.
So let's say, what's one that's later down the road? Okay, so like the home equity loan, I'm continuing to pay my minimum monthly payment of $316.69.
Yes, good point.
While I'm doing my accelerated monthly payments for
Yes,
everything else.
yes.
And so I continue to pay that, and then in 12 months in, I've paid off my first payoff priority, my second, my third, and so forth. And so all those things everything is continuing to be paid. And does that,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, you continue to make the minimum payments on all your debts, because if you don't do that, somebody's going to knock on the door or call you or write you a very unfriendly letter. And you'll notice, and before the mathematician in the room will, and it might be you, will say, wait a minute, what about interest? What about the effective interest here? We have a software that does this to the penny, including interest and all that stuff, and it comes out very close, because what we're also not taking into account is what you just talked about, the decreasing balances, because you are making minimum payments on the other debts you're not focusing on. The debt you're paying with the extra accelerator, we call that the focus debt. The other ones you're making minimum payments on. So those balances are going down ever so slightly. Most of those payments, remember, is interest. But the balances are going down a little bit, and that offsets the effect that you would say, well, interest is still being compounded on these things. It's very close to break even between those two. So we have run them manually like this and through the software, and in rare instances, they differ by a month. It's very close.
And then my second question is, and I think I know the answer to this, but like this accelerator margin of $400, that's $400 that I could be saving, or it's $400 that I could be putting into this. Okay.
And the reason for that is pretty simple. If you can get an 18% return, 49.5% return, or a 600% return versus putting it in the bank and getting a 0.5% return, that's an easy choice. And everything you're doing here, you're bringing the money back into your control. So as you pay off that first debt, all of a sudden you've brought $491 that used to be going to the car payment. Now you have it. You want to use it for debt acceleration, but if you needed it for something else, it's now yours. You don't have to grab the Visa card. So you're regaining control of your life, away from, seriously, the dark kingdom, because that's who's got us in this web. And so we're breaking free. We're breaking free. So did I answer that? But yes, I'm glad you brought that up, because we have to continue making the minimum payments on all the other debts as we focus on the one, and then the next one, and then the next one. And the accelerator margin keeps getting bigger. And you know, so whatever your numbers are, you know, they're going to be different for you. But does anybody have any other questions about that process? Because I went through it kind of fast. But it's seriously, I feel the same way about it. I mean, it's pretty basic. But I mean, I kind of told you this before. But here's why that's true. Because as I said before, if you had this $1,000 monthly mortgage payment and $100 of it is principal, paying an extra $500 prepays 5 principal payments. By the way, if I'm in month 14 of my mortgage and I pay an extra $500, and I am in effect prepaying the next 5 payments principal, I cannot stop making mortgage payments for a few months because I prepaid them. That's not how they look at it. What you've done, they skip you right up to they skip 5 payments, and your next payment is the 6th payment, but it's due the same time the next one would have been due. So you got to keep making the payments, but where all that saved time shows up is you're done a lot sooner. So instead of having 28 or 27 years left on your mortgage, you'll probably pay, well, like in this example, 36 months. Now, you might take 48 months. Would you trade 48 months for, 360 for 48? Yes, sir. Absolutely. I would. It's pretty remarkable. It's like, wow, how big of a lie is it? When this is not rocket science, what we just went through, but it's true. And you're like, oh man, I didn't realize what they were doing to me was so bad, and I didn't realize reversing it was so easy. Well, let's just say uncomplicated. It's not easy, but you know what? Once you get going on it and you see those payments, just balances just dropping, especially after you pay off the first debt, it's addictive. You become obsessive. I mean, I'm telling you, I wanted to have my kids collecting aluminum cans and cashing them in, and come on, we're going to pitch into this thing. We're paying off debts. Terry, you were telling me how obsessed you got when you got into this mode. You get crazy. I mean, you see, I can kill another debt. I know how. You know, and you find a way to accelerate it a little bit more. I'll mow lawns. I'll do something. Seriously, it becomes addictive, which is one of the reasons why the prioritization process, if you notice it, the lowest balance was debt number one. No, excuse me. It's actually the debt that can be paid off the fastest. It's the balance whose regular payment would pay it off in the least amount of months. All right? Why are we doing that? Two reasons. You want to recover payments and grow your accelerator margin fast, so you go after the low-hanging fruit. Plus, motivation. If I said start with the mortgage, you'd be, oh great, I pay that off in, 4 or 5 years, and halfway through you go, I'm through with this. I feel like I'm living on, Gilligan's Island. So it keeps you motivated to see the first, second, third debt go. And then pretty soon you become a fanatic. Nobody wanted to invite me over for a party or anything, seriously, because he's going to rain on our parade. I was a zealot. I was a zealot. Now you can tell I'm very calm about it. I'm very calm. No, thank you. Thank you, Pastor. I appreciate that. I feel good now. My self-worth has just gone up. That's why I use a credit card at McDonald's, because the screen goes, you're approved. And I go, oh, I feel so much better about myself. I'm providing jobs, yeah, but they're going away. They're going to be replaced by kiosks. Okay, what about the mortgage interest tax deduction? Wait a minute, you're telling me to pay off my mortgage, but the government gives me a tax deduction for making the interest payment on my mortgage. All right, let's talk about that. It's just part of the coalition's deception. The government, how many people think it's possible that the government people and the banking people talk to each other?
Oh, yeah.
And maybe even, cooperate.
Can you save your revolving door?
Yeah, if you ever look at, in most cases, who's the Treasury Secretary? They worked at Goldman Sachs last week. And when they're through being Treasury Secretary, they work at Goldman Sachs again. So it's like a conveyor belt, back and forth. All right, if you're in the 25% tax bracket, which a lot of people are, most people are, paying $1 of interest saves you 25 cents in taxes. That's what the tax deduction is worth. If I can deduct off of my taxes you're not deducting it off of your taxes, you're deducting it from your taxable income. So that means it looks like you made $1 less on which you will pay taxes. So you've saved the taxes on $1. You didn't save $1. So if I'm saving 25 cents, if you think that paying $1 of interest to save 25 cents in taxes is a good idea, I will trade you quarters for all the dollars you can come up with. I'm willing to help you. Come on, Walt. I am. It's a big heart that does that kind of thing. So that's what you're doing. You're paying $1 to get 25 cents back. That's not a good deal. So what am I saying? Paying off your mortgage, you get to keep the 75 cents. So yeah, you will pay the 25 cents in tax on that $1 because you couldn't deduct it from your taxable income, but you got to keep the $1, which means you still have 75 cents after taxes. 75 cents is bigger than 25 cents. I mean, even with new math and all that stuff that they teach and core and all that stuff, it's still more. Even though you have to come up with a story about how many rabbits got on a train and it was Thursday and they were going east and it's 75 cents, it's still more than 25 cents. Yeah. Okay. So let's pay off your debts. Oh, I had more of this? Yes, it's a rotten investment. You still get the tax deduction. By the way, while you are accelerating your payoff, any interest you pay, you still get the tax deduction during that 36 months. It's actually more than 36. It's the last 36 months of 72 months. So you will have been paying your mortgage for 72 months, but you'll get the tax deductions during that time. Okay. So use the blank calculating your debt payoff form, and I don't. And sometimes in these workshops, people would bring a list of their debts and stuff, and I don't know if anybody did that. And actually, I should have probably said that would be a good idea because you could play with them. But then everybody's like this, We love and trust each other. We're all brothers and sisters, but don't you be looking at my debts. This is an actual piece of research. People are more willing to talk about their sex life than their personal finances. Really. I've never done the research personally, but because, both of them are their own business as far as I'm concerned. Okay. So use the blank calculating your debt payoff form. You accelerate a margin. If you can't think of one, just go with 10%. But you kind of probably already know if you pay off your debts, when you pay your debts, if you were only paying the minimum payment to everything, you can pretty much figure out what you might have. If you want to give yourself a little fudge factor of a few bucks just in case, and come up with an accelerator margin and just start the process. And if it's not 10%, if it's 5%, you'll still pay your debts off a lot faster. It's kind of compound interest in reverse. So where compound interest gets more and more powerful over time, this really accentuates the power of the few dollars you can put against your debts. So no matter what you can start with, even if you just stopped adding to your debts and paid as much as you could on them, you would get out of debt way faster. They don't ever want you being out of debt. Follow the directions at the top of the form, and you will go down the yellow brick road. So things to keep in mind about your debts, we kind of talked about this. Use only the minimum payments to maximize the debt elimination process. Use only principal and interest part of your mortgage, by the way. When you put your mortgage payment in there, in that section where you put the payments next to the mortgage, you only want to put the P&I. Do not put, like if your mortgage payment includes escrowed insurance and taxes, don't put that in there because those two never go away. They're not debts. Once you pay off your house, you still got to pay property taxes and insurance. So those are not debts. So you only want to use the P&I portion, which is actually a little bit smaller than your whole mortgage payment. Interest is not a big factor. People want to think, I want to pay the highest interest debt off first. How many people think that way? How many people thought that way? Yeah. Phooey. It's not important. We've done it a zillion different ways. In fact, we have a software where you can say, I want to go by interest rate, highest interest rate first. I want to do this first. I want to do it that way first. What happens is you're not paying off, you're not getting the psychological advantage of paying off debts quickly in the beginning. So you don't have that emotional motivation builder. The end result is you don't pay your debts off any faster. You really don't. So there's no advantage. I mean, we've run a bunch of them, and like I said, a month maybe in the process, one way or the other, with going interest rate first or something different. It doesn't really make a big difference. The psychology is the most important factor. So don't let interest rate trick you. You're going to get rid of your debt so fast that the interest, even high interest, is not going to be able to hurt you that much. Truly. Trust me. You can, seriously, I mean, you can find calculators online that will let you try different ways and just do it. Now, it's easier with the cash flow dashboard. This is one of the things that we have at our business, and I think you probably have this URL in your notes. You can just go there, and it will actually do a version, you can put your current finances in, and what it's designed to do is to help you see what you really have available for your accelerated margin. It's kind of a more comprehensive accelerator margin finder application. So it'll tell you what you've really got left each month, what's available. It takes into account things like entertainment or, things you might not think about when you're doing a basic budget by hand. Yep. Okay, we need a microphone. And this is free. This is free. You can use this for free.
So,
There's a much more robust management and automatic payoff system behind it for $9.87 a month, but you don't have to take it. Yeah.
so because of your taxes and insurance and things on mortgage, things like mortgages, when you're planning to prepay your mortgage, you do have to tell the mortgage company, right, or the lender, where to apply those additional funds. Don't you have to have some kind of discussion with them about that?
I would write it on the memo line of a check. A lot of the lenders actually tell you how to prepay principal. They'll actually have a place on the payment coupon, extra principal. So it's a lot easier than it used to be. And some lenders would hit you with penalties if you prepaid balances early. That's not very common anymore, hardly any. You'd have to have a pretty old mortgage for that to still be on there. But you should tell them, but the safest thing to do, call them. Call their customer service number and say, I want to pay additional principal with my payment. How do you want me to do it so it gets properly credited? Because if you just throw money at them, they could stick it at the end of the loan where it doesn't kill as much interest. They're rascals, so you got to keep an eye on them. But if you ask them how to do it, they'll tell you, because that's the way of things now. They pretty much understand that some people are going to try to do that. I don't know why I had another break in here, but we don't have time to do that. So let's break the break and skip right past it. We're going to talk a little bit about creating your accelerator margin, how we can put that extra money together, because that's the fuel. That's the fuel that's going to drive this thing. So keep a spending journal with you. There are apps. How many have a smartphone? Okay, dumb phone? No phone? Okay. There are apps for your phone that are spending journals, spending trackers. And what these catch, it'll help you identify areas for saving money. Every dollar you put into your accelerator margin for debt elimination will transform into many more dollars of eventual wealth. You remember that? It's a multiplier. You put in a few bucks, it saves you many dollars. You put in a few $100s, it could save you thousands of dollars. It's very leveraged. Paying off debt is very leveraged. It's not a dollar for dollar gain. It's a many dollars for a dollar gain. So you want to use that. So your accelerator margin will continue to grow as you eliminate debts, and it's always available, as I said, for emergencies. So when you get home, is there accelerator margin finder form in the back of that thing? I don't know, somehow. I had a bunch of stuff in there. Yes. Okay, yeah. All right, thank you, Jesus. I put it in there. There's an accelerator margin finder form in there, and what that allows you to do is put in your various payments, what you pay, and what is the minimum you think you could get away with on those various expenses, being reasonable, and then you get down to the bottom, and the difference between the two is basically your accelerator margin. You could go to that website I gave you, and that's more of a computerized version of the same thing. But the more accelerator margin you have, the faster your debts are going to be paid off. So complete that accelerator margin form when you get home and look for the money. It's leaking out of your life. The reason you want a spending journal, I think I went past that a little fast. A spending journal, it could be a little booklet that you carry with you. You know what it captures? Starbucks, Dutch Brothers, McDonald's, all the places that cash flies out of your life. And our money leaks out of our lives. And this whole process of looking for your accelerator margin, you're going to find the leaks. Another thing you want to look out for these days, which I really wasn't even an issue back when I first started doing this, we call them stealth payments. Netflix, Hulu, that kind of thing, where it's just an automatic little $8 charge. They can pop over 100 so fast you won't believe it. I just canceled Sling today. Anybody got Sling TV? Okay, it's just another one of those streaming channels, but they talk about how they actually have several of the channels that cable has, and you can get them for $20 a month. Well, it's not all they say it is, so I canceled it. Because $20 a month is $20 a month. So look for the stealth payments. You know where you find them? On your credit card statement. Hey, wait a minute, I forgot I was paying for that. $5 a month. You'll find a lot of stuff in there. You'll spend a week or two canceling a lot of things, and then you'll have more accelerator margin. Another couple of places you can look are evaluate your real insurance needs, like life insurance, auto insurance, personal liability insurance, medical insurance. Places where you have a deductible, take the highest deductible you can emotionally handle. Seriously, because it will lower your monthly premium payment a lot. You can lower your premium by as much as 40% by raising your deductible. On medical insurance, if you pay it, and particularly on homeowners and car insurance, taking a higher deductible will dramatically, and think about this. Here's what the deductible is all about. Think of it as co-insuring yourself. You're saying, you know what, on my homeowner's insurance, State Farm, I'll insure myself for the first $1,000 of loss, and then you pick it up from there. Or on my medical insurance, you know what, I'll pay the first $300, $400, $500, whatever, of medical bills, and then you pick it up from there. And the insurance company says, okay, we're sharing the risk. But what in reality, when you think about insurance, think about it this way, and I work with insurance companies now because of this private family banking thing. Insurance companies have the smartest people on earth. If you think NASA has the smartest people, no. The smartest people work at insurance companies. They're called actuarial scientists. And they can predict risk out 4 decimal places. I mean, they can take a group of 1,000 62-year-old men, and they can tell the insurance company 37 and a half of these guys will be dead next year at this time. And that the death benefit expense for your policies will be, you know, $3,272.18. And they're very close, because they use the laws of large numbers and a lot of stuff that we don't need to get into. But insurance companies, if they think you will have the loss, they won't sell you the policy. So they are betting you won't get hurt, you won't get sick, you won't crash your car. If you take a low deductible, you know, I want to make sure that they pay for, I call it sniffle insurance. If I sniffle, I can run to the doctor and it's $5 or whatever, you know. So if you take a low deductible, or I'm going to take a low deductible on my car insurance, you are actually betting, I think I will have an accident. They're saying, with their actuarial scientists, all of our data shows, no, you won't. I'm going to bet against all you brainiacs. I'm going to bet that I will have an accident. Therefore, I want a low deductible, so I only have to pay $100. And then you never have an accident, and you've paid higher premiums to them all that time to get that lower deductible. So I like to bet with the insurance company and just say, you guys are smart. I'm going to go with you. I'm going to bet I won't have an accident. And so I'm going to take a higher deductible. Now, you got to do whatever you can emotionally handle, you know, but look at that and say, I think I can raise my deductibles. And your agent will tell you, you know, if you go up to a $300, $400, $500 deductible, here's what your premiums will go down. And that's how you can find accelerator margin. It's just one way. I'm trying to, you know, help you scrape out all these little hidden places. Get high deductibles. Never buy extended warranties unless it's something you are buying for your grandchild. If it's an electronic device, computer or toy, expensive toy, yes, then it's worth it. Because you'll buy one, they'll break it and return it twice to Best Buy. And if it has a warranty, you know, then it doesn't cost any extra money. But otherwise, all it is expensive insurance. It's just expensive insurance, and the retailer makes a commission on it. So they're just upping their profit. That's all it is a profit builder for, if you're really worried about, like when you're paying off your debts, you go, wow, that debt total is, whatever the heck it was. I forget now, but it was 100 or 200,000, whatever it was. And you say, man, that scares me. So I have mortgage insurance, mortgage kind of life insurance. That they'll sell you the insurance with the purchase, with the financing. That's what I'm talking about. Don't buy those type of extended warranties or purchase insurance programs. We'll stay on this for a second. As part of the financing. If you feel that makes you nervous, go get a term policy. This is 72 months, 6 years, whatever your plan says it's going to take you. Buy a term policy for that many years for that total amount on your life. Much cheaper than buying those individual financing insurance policies. Much cheaper. And if you happen to go to glory, it'll pay off the balance for your family. So it accomplishes the same thing. Use coupons. Coupons work. Lois is an example of that. Terry talked about for a period of your life, you paid practically nothing for groceries because you were Miss Coupon Queen? Yeah. It can really, but it takes time. It takes time to really do that right. You see these people on TV where they get $300 worth of groceries for $15. Well, they spent a lot of time tracing those things down, but they throw them at you. And if you get a frequent visitor card, whatever it is, they'll send you coupons and stuff. Of course, they're trying to get you to buy more than you normally would, so you still got to be disciplined with that. And then, of course, Lois could give you a quick course on how to buy a $200 dress for $20 and stuff like that. She goes and finds stuff that's on sale at an outlet store with a blue dot, and it's Thursday, and it's half price off of that, and she's forever coming home saying, see this? Yeah, it cost this much on the tag, but I got it for they paid me $5 to take it out of the store. So there are ways. Evaluate your gift giving. Oh, judicious dining out. Entertainment, movies, premium cable channels. These are all opportunities. Okay, they're all opportunities. Say, am I better off, going out every weekend, or maybe make that once a month, or maybe make that once every couple months, because the dollars you don't spend go in the accelerator margin save you many dollars of future interest. Shop at outlet malls. Evaluate holiday giving, gift giving. There was a time where remember that one year we made gifts for everybody? I mean, everybody loved them. They had much more of an emotional impact than if we would have bought big fancy stuff, except for our daughter. I made our daughter a complete kitchen, little miniature kitchen. How old was she back then? 5, 6. Lois painted it. It looked real. We lifted the sheet off of it on Christmas morning, and she's like, mm-hmm. I mean, she ended up loving it and playing with it and really enjoying it. But that rascal would not give me my money's worth of reaction. I'm like, I worked on this thing for 30 hours. It felt like a week. But anyway, yeah. I remind her of that every once in a while. I kind of got ahead of myself. Never buy a brand new car unless when you get really wealthy, if you can afford it, go buy one. I'm not trying to say it's evil to own one, but most cars lose 30 to 50% of their value in the first 2 to 3 years. So buy a 2 to 3 year old car. It's still under warranty. It's still got lots of life on it, and you pay half price. And if you like the smell of new cars, they sell it in spray cans at the auto parts store. So you can get it. Never finance beyond 36 months if you're going to have to finance. And sometimes you do. If you need a car and you don't have, $20,000 laying around, you need to finance. Don't take over 36 months, because if you take more than 36 months, you will always owe more than the car is worth. At least at 36 months, you can get out of it and not have to throw money into the deal. Never buy credit life insurance. We talked about this. I talked about it out of turn. But anyway, take advantage of cheap vacations. Don't buy tools you don't always use, Tom. Rent them. That's in there. It's a guy thing. Guys, it can be golf clubs. It could be tools. If you're a tool guy and a builder guy, you want literally everything DeWalt makes. Let's be honest. So if it's yellow and it makes a noise when I pull the trigger, I must have one of those. Okay, conserve utility usage, avoid retail therapy. These are places where you can find accelerator margin. Are you eating your future? Oh man, we're close. These are just a couple examples. If you were to invest the money, instead of doing a $100 a week dinner or a $3 a day latte, where do you get those anymore? $5 a day lunch, that's what those same amounts could turn into if you saved them instead of ate them. You see what I'm talking about? Little amounts turn into big pieces of money. There's an opportunity with this. If you do all of this, imagine what it would be like if you had no credit card debt payments, no car payments, no debt payments of any kind, and you always had money in the bank. You could redesign your life. When you're debt-free, you can tithe, offer, and bless those in need, live where you want, doing what you want, answer God's call to ministry. You can start over. Seriously, you can get back to zero financially so you can say, the world is my oyster. I can now choose any course I want to choose because I'm not a slave to the banking system, to the debt masters. It's a rare opportunity. So let's quickly hit the homework. The questions are in the back. I really don't have to read them to you. You can read them. Pick one from this class and one from Pastor's class.
They can use as many as they'd like. They need to answer the questions.
Okay, answer the questions. And so I've got it there in the back of your homework, and I don't want to keep you any longer than I'm supposed to, even though my watch says it's 5 minutes to 9, but we started according to that clock, so I'm good. All right, so there you go. I mean, it was kind of fast, but can you see how you can do it? Yeah. All right, well then do it. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you.